Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is going to be by far the only video you probably need to dramatically change the result in your life and business specifically. Listen, a long time ago, the goal was just to make six figures online. And with today's inflation and the cost of everything, all of us know that that number really needs to be at closer to 200 or 250K or 20K per month, where 10K used to be the benchmark for a lot of us. So I want to go through a quick disclaimer, but this is going to be by far the most valuable video on the internet for you to dramatically increase the results you get inside your business. We're going to go over exactly my concept and what I teach all side of my clients inside our program, the equilibrium effect. And this is basically a 3-pillar system that tackles the 3 biggest areas that are holding you back from already having your dream life and business. And I do need to make a quick disclaimer here just to get this out the way for all of you guys. Okay, so number one, I am a coach and I do have people invest in my business and they can work with me one-on-one, but I want to make something super clear. I normally do make videos like this on my channel that are educational in nature, and those are also used to attract high-paying clients, show them my expertise, allow them to understand that I can solve their problem, and therefore feel more comfortable and ready to invest. However, I have multiple people, as you see screenshots from Marshall, who just signed up this last Friday. Denise signed up last month, who are people who are ready to invest, pay in full, no objections. They understand that this is what they need. So you watching this video, do not feel like that has to be you. Okay, I made this video to be so filled with actionable steps and value that you quite literally could just watch this and go change your life. Never hire me or anybody else ever again. I don't care. I just needed to get this video out there because I know that when I was starting my business and I was just not even getting paid, I was just trying to help people for free, I would have loved to have seen a video like this. And that's what I wanted to create here, right? The only thing you need to do to really get the message in this video is to suspend all of your skepticism, disbelief, current understanding. And I want you to treat this like you've never seen anything before, okay? And one more thing, because we need to weed out some people, because I know it sounds like this is going to be fancy woo-woo. There's a group of people who this video is 100% not for, okay? There is no such thing as a magic funnel advice here. There won't be any advice for you to hire setters and closers. I'm not going to tell you to spend thousands of hours or dollars on a webinar funnel. I'm not going to do any, thing that's just going to result in more work or something you've probably already heard before. In fact, we are going to more than likely by the end of this video reduce the amount of things you're doing. And that's the people who I'm looking for, okay? The people who are ready to understand the tools that they have. They don't want a magic fix. The people who know that they could be doing more, and they recognize that there are people in their industry, field, area, whatever, who do the things that they want to do and perceivably do them with less effort than you're spending on what you're currently doing, right? And just as an example, not only is my business doing well, but so is all of our clients here. We will zoom in here so you guys can read these. Tanner is a videographer and ads manager, had a situation where he was viewing the situation as he lost $20,000 and ended up turning that into a potentially multi-7-figure deal with a company. We have Phil, who came in doing 10K a month in his coaching and Amazon business, is now pushing close to 100K months in profit. And then we also had Han, who came in working 60 hours a week, 6 days a week as a brand new barber, making $2,500 a month. Now he's doing 7K a month, only cuts hair 4 days a week. And his old good days are now his slow days. And he's got to remind himself to be grateful. Okay, so this works. I have no need to prove you. I don't need you guys to sign up watching this video. The only people who are allowed to sign up after watching this video are the ones who fully watched the whole thing and applied it and realized that it worked for their life, and then they want more. In fact, if you have not watched this whole video, please don't ask me to sign up prematurely, because this is going to be key in understanding everything, okay? So let's get right into it. Equilibrium, all right? Now, what I like to call as the concept of equilibrium is also commonly referred to as your feeling state or your frequency, and essentially it is whatever given identity, emotions, and actions that are in line at any given time. Okay, so your equilibrium is the state in which you are at. right? So when we have a goal or something that we want to achieve, and we make this into the editing, right? When we have a goal, our goal needs to match the state of equilibrium that we are in order for it to materialize and us to have it. Okay, or at least us to get in topic. Now, I'm going to go deeper into all of this, and you guys will really understand more what I'm talking about, right? But of these three pillars of equilibrium, we're looking at identity, emotional regulation, and your daily actions. And these three must be in line. They must be in line in order for you to achieve both the equilibrium state and the goal. And I'm going to explain why so many people have a struggle. And this is the biggest thing. Like, this one little switch right here should help you out a lot. Most people, when they're looking to do any new thing in their business, or they're looking to improve the level of which they have things, they spend all of their focus on this pillar, the daily actions only. Okay, and I'm going to give more intro into each one and how we can clean up each one of these pillars for ourselves. But they spend all of their thought processes, either they get a new mentor or they commit themselves to some crazy locked in 75 hard version of a challenge. And there's like, man, if I just do more and if I just work harder, I will reach whatever goal I have. But that's not the case, because if we don't change our identity and our emotions, then you will experience burnout, and these actions will feel impossible. They will feel overwhelming, even when you know that it would make you a fuckload of money. I myself experienced this in my coaching program for years, for the entire year, telling myself, I have to send 100 messages a day. I have to send 100 messages a day. And that's not true. I did not have to do that, but and my identity was rooted in a person who does not want to do that. So I would continuously get burned out, and then I would believe that because I'm not doing this action step, that's the reason my business isn't growing, and this is the thing, and then that it feeds the guilt machine, and then it just gets impossible. But let's just take a look here on how we go through each one of these things, the problems that we experience in each one of these things, and how to solve them today with just this video, okay? So the problem with our identity, and I gotta work on here, get my Pablo Picasso drawings, okay? So we have something here called the relationship between fear and change, okay? The fear wall problem. And this is type of a sort of like similar to something Bob Proctor talks about with the paradigm shift, but I'm going to go through it now. Hopefully you've never heard this before. So whenever we are looking to make a significant change in our life, okay, we are seeing the way how change works is it starts with our thoughts up top. The Apple voice, which I'll cover slowly, makes a decision and an identity shame. And then we take actions based on what the Apple voice and the identity is saying we should do. Example. Okay, say you are trying to start making more content for your business, okay, and you are in the start. Right now, you are thinking to yourself, content is too difficult. I don't want to put myself out there. I get nervous. Whenever I do post, it doesn't get that many views. I'm not a young something that can't, go viral, whatever. This is the negative frame. And then with our Apple voice, and if what the Apple voice is say the word Apple without saying it out loud, 1, 2, 3. That voice, this is the thing that controls our inner dialogue. It makes the decisions. It has the identity. It says, because all this thoughts that I just had were true, I'm going to take the action of not posting on content. I'm not going to do it, right? And then again, like we were talking about, even if you know this is negative, right? These are the negative things where we're starting. There's no fear there. There's no uncomfortability. There's no isolation. There's no uncertainty, because this is what we've always done, and we will always get, and we know 100% of what it's like, even if it's horrible. We use the example often of an abusive relationship. Even if on the flip side, and this is our goals where we want to, even if we know that up top in our positive thoughts, if we had a partner who would really love us and respect us, if we had a partner who would show us our self-worth and our self would be more positive, then we take action steps to make sure that we're attracting that person, and we go with that person, and we would leave the people we want alone. And this is the goal, right? The reason why it's so difficult, and where you likely are if you've been trying to make changes in your life and it's just not happening, is in this middle section where the fear wall is. Okay, again, this wall of fear is a couple different things, primarily isolation, uncertainty, and uncomfortability. Right? And they're on a tiered list. They get increasingly more difficult as you get closer to the goal. And the thing that most people don't understand, nobody warns anyone about, and what I want you to understand very clearly here today is that it feels terrible going towards your goals often in the present tense when we're going through the wall. Because no matter how positive it is, no matter how great it sounds to have a relationship or a business or a content and social media following, we don't know what that's like. Our identity has never gone through that. So then there is isolation that comes with that. We may not know anybody, and everybody that we know thinks that that's a waste of time. And so, or we think that people think that they're scamming or whatever the case is, and you don't take the action because you don't know what will happen after that. We know what will happen when we don't take the action this way. Even though we don't like the result, we know it. So there's no fear. And so what happens is when people start going on an endeavor and they get their positive mind frame up top, but their actions start negative, it's because they're trudging through this wall of fear. And it's kind of like a testing gap. And what often happens is something along this wall gets so painful, so much uncertainty, so much isolation comes with it that we take the escape route back to where we came. And the true crime is that this part and this route feels really damn good. It feels good to quit in the moment. It feels great. But then the long-term guilt comes up. Then the long-term regret comes up. And it's the flip the other way. This feels horrible moving towards your goal. It does not feel good to start a diet. It does not feel good to go into the gym the first week. It doesn't feel good to post video after video and nobody's watching it. But in the long term, after you get through the fear, after you get through it all, everything starts to feel better. Now, what's the solution, right? When we're looking at our fear wall, what's one quick and easy way to help you get through this wall always? Well, it's something called the gap and the gain mindset that I just read. It's from Dan Sullivan, and I forget the other person, right? But basically, he's talking about how the gap mindset is when we are comparing ourselves to our ideal. And it oftentimes feels like a giant mountain ahead of us. So maybe you want to make 20, 30, 40, 50, 100K in your business. This is perceivably a mountain at the moment. Okay. Or maybe you already make 7 figures, but you work 80 hours a week in some type of very labor intensive job. And so the mountain is, I want to have the same level of income with 1/3 the amount of work. Whatever the case is, in the ideal version, it is a mountain, right? And that is viewing it where you are compared to where you want to be will create something called the gap mindset. This is where that fear wall thrives. This is where the isolation and the uncomfortability will seem impossible to get through, where the situations will seem like God himself is trying to stop you from this path, right? This is where that comes from. And what's the gain mindset? The gain mindset is looking at everything that you've already done. Okay. Oops, that was supposed to be blue too, but whatever. The gain mindset is understanding how far you have come and where you looking at yourself today from your starting point versus your ideal. And when we do that, we understand that everything is easy, no matter how difficult it was, right? And the easiest way to get through the fear wall is to live in the identity of someone who has already gotten past the thing. They already have reached mastery and they've already received the long-term effect of doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, and it's causing you this internal fear or disresonance and difficulty. And there's a way that you can do this. Maybe like if you're like me when I was starting out, and people would have this idea about this, I would say, well, how am I supposed to know what it feels like to be wealthy, happy, and successful if I've never done it? Here's the thing. You just can reverse engineer the feeling of mastery from some of the things that you have already accomplished, just like we're talking about. Okay, so for me, what does that look like? When I was trying to get better at golf, my best friend who shoots really low handicap at the time told me, listen, man, you've played basketball your whole life, right? And I said, yes. So when you go to shoot a jump shot, you can feel right when you throw the ball and it leaves your fingertips if you're going to make it or not because of how many times you shot a basketball, correct? And I said, yes. He said, if you can start to think about your golf swing in that way, you will get a lot better. If you can create a consistent swing the way that you created a consistent jump shot, it will translate and you will get better, even though mechanically they're completely different. And so you can do this same thing with what we're talking about here is living in the end, living past the fear, living in the identity of somebody who's already accomplished the things that you want to accomplish. You can do that by looking at the things that you've accomplished and realizing, how do I feel about those things? How do I feel about doing something that I know how to do better than anybody else, or I've been doing for a really long time and I've reached mastery? I don't care what it is, playing a game, playing a sport, doing cooking, whatever. You know what it feels like to be really damn good at something. And then if you look even deeper than that, you'll understand that no matter how good you are at something today, at one point in time you were a beginner. And at several points in times on your path to reach this level of mastery, you came across certain situations, fears, uncomfortabilities, lacks in ability, whatever. In those things, you had to have the mindset and the identity that you, by practicing and continuing to do it, would get past that, or you wouldn't have. When there's a really good example I heard of this is if people had to be perfectionist about scrolling, they never would. Like if you had to put your finger down just right and scroll perfectly in line with like a little marker, and that's the only way you would get to another video, social media wouldn't exist. So putting these complex things and trying to understand your business and trying to grow your business and change by simply doing all this crazy stuff you've never done as far as actions like setting up and spending, it's not going to work. The identity, if it doesn't change, won't matter. Why? Because the wall is going to hit you either way. And if you don't have the identity that you're already past it, or that this is what you're doing is something that somebody who's already past it would do, then when the wall hits you, you will quit and go back. You will burn out. You'll blame the system. You'll blame your mentor. You'll blame the economy. You'll blame the social media. You'll blame how you look, and none of that shit matters. It's your identity, thinking that you can't do it. So here's another free game. Honest to God, will change your life overnight if you really lock into this, okay? Just listen to the free audiobook playlist on YouTube of this book, or you can buy the book, support the author, of Dollars Flow to Me Easily by Richard Dotz. I'm willing to bet if you actually have listened this far and you just, even if you stop the video now, don't do it, please. Help the boy algorithm out. But if you were and just listen to this playlist, search it up on YouTube. There's a bunch of audiobooks. Most sound like a robot. There's one that's read by a woman in a playlist. I would read that one or listen to that. It will change. You will understand what I'm trying to relate to you here. It's in 2 hours deeper into this type of identity reframing. Okay. So this is still only one part, right? If we only do this, the thing with the pillar system and how equilibrium works is you cannot only work on just one of these three pillars. All three must be in line, or one starts to go up and the other goes down. Triangle equilibrium tips over. We fall down to another state in which all of the three are level. That's how it continues to work. So even if we have our identity framed correctly, if our emotions are still dealing with what I'm about to go over, then we still won't take the daily actions. Emotional regulation is the next critical part, right? So here's two problems that I've seen over working with people the last year deal with when it comes to emotional regulations. Number one, outcome obsession. And number two, having an unqualified support system. Okay, so this right here with the outcome obsession, this should save a lot of business owners, okay? Your success curves looks just like this, right? Uninformed optimism is where we start at the beginning of any brand new task. Any brand new task, new funnel, new idea, new way of thinking, new product, new diet, new anything, okay? Because we assume that it will be easier than it will. And we have not reached a level of mastery to even understand how difficult this anything will be. This is like your friend who says, you know, they're just going to learn how to make beats this year. No, they won't, right? They think it's easier, but they're going to go through this same thing, right? They're going to go through uninformed optimism, and then they're going to immediately go into informed pessimism. This doesn't say it, but it should. Informed pessimism. This is where you've now gone past your lovey honeymoon stage, realized how difficult the things are, realize what's going on, and then become immediately pessimistic. And then this thing calls it the dip. I like to use the words from Alex Hormozi, which is the valley of despair. Okay. Like this part right here. This is where I need to make something really clear here. This is not something that happens to people who only happens to people who don't put in the work. Okay. That's not how this is. This isn't just reserved for people who aren't running ads, making content, doing the things. This is especially for the people who are doing every damn thing that they perceivably think is required to hit their goal and still don't have the result. That's what this looks like. This looks like you posting for months. This looks like you hopping on thousands of sales calls. This looks like sending thousands of DMs. This looks like doing a lot of effort and no return. And this is where people quit. This is lined up with the fear wall. This is where uncertainty, uncomfortability, and all of it shines at an all-time high, right? And then what happens is, if you don't, just like we talked about with the fear wall, you get hit by something called shiny object syndrome, okay? And this happens when we are obsessed with receiving outcomes for every single thing that we do inside our business or every input. And what that means is, like, if you're in the valley of despair, you're probably there because you're doing all the things, and that's not the problem. But you're looking at everything you do, expecting it to have a ridiculous result immediately. And if it doesn't, harboring deep judgments, beliefs, and feelings about the thing you were just doing, even if it's actually the thing that's going to take you to where you want to go. Right? Because you're stuck in the valley of despair. And when we're in the valley of despair, it's super depressing. It's super dark. We feel like it's a waste of time. We should turn in the towel. We should give up the business, whatever the case is. You go through this exact pattern. And tell me if this sounds familiar. First, you get hit with shiny object syndrome. What is that? Something over here looks and shines like it's this brand new opportunity, brand new thing that's going to get you out of where you want to go. And then what we did is just restart the curve back into uninformed optimism. Okay, we just walked right back to the beginning, just like we showed with the fear wall. And then when we reach informed pessimism again, except for this time, we're aware that this is a familiar feeling because we just went through it. That's how we got through. Well, now that creates a burnout feeling. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to rebuild my team. I don't want to go hire more people. I don't want to hire a new setter. I don't want to run ads again. I had such a bad experience. I thought that this thing was going to be the best. Why is this also suck? And burnout happens. And right after burnout, if you're making enough money, if you're making 10 grand a month where this is your full-time job, so people depend on you. It's not like you can just fucking turn it off and pray, right? Autopilot mode will kick in. That's where you're walking around dead on the inside. Walking around, going through the motions, saying things like, oh, poor me, must be nice, looking at other people who have less skills, less passion, less expertise than you, and thinking that they're going to be the only ones that win and not you. This comes only from those who are obsessed with receiving outcomes. Right? And then if you get through all these things, you're either going to restart again to another shiny object, or you're going to shut it all down and give up, throw in the towel, never again. And not only that, you will tear down other people's dreams and businesses because of your personal experience. And again, this is a huge result of somebody who hasn't properly framed their identity. If your identity is actually deeply rooted in the fact that you've already accomplished it, even without any physical proof, even with proof of the opposite, maybe, right? Proof that you have failed, proof that you won't do it. If you believe that you've already done it, and you harbor that feeling, and you take actions, and you have the emotions that match that, the emotions that would match someone who's already accomplished it is they would not care about this valley. They would understand that the next two steps are informed optimism and achievement. Informed optimism is where you've received some type of win, and it lets you know, oh, I do got this. And then achievement is when you get it. Okay, we've all gone through this, okay? Again, if your identity is framed, this will feel effortless to get through this. In the clear action steps from your boy to you, so you can take this and get something here, right, is to take all of your action from a place of total detachment on the outcome. Okay, the outcome is a result that you can't control. The input is. So if we root ourselves in the person who's already done it, this will be effortless. This won't be difficult. I dare you to try it. Get on your next sales call and believe that you already had closed the last 10 and feel what that would feel like, and then talk. You won't care. You will be totally detached whether that person signs up. You'll actually be present when they're telling you the things they want. You'll actually know and remember the things that you practice and put in your script because your mind won't be filled with chaos and emotions and unable to think clearly. And understand when you have something that already works. Stop trying to chase the new thing to get it to work. Like 9 out of 10 times, you don't need to completely revamp your business. I can't tell you guys how many owners I've sat on a call or we've gone in our first meeting and they were convinced that their business would take XYZ to grow. And we just did a small shift, less time spent, not anything that a big work effort that had to come, and everything changes. Okay. And so the second thing that can also have your emotions really on the fritz here is the danger of an unqualified support system. Okay. And there's a little graphic here that I want you guys to understand. This is our conscious thoughts here, and this is our subconscious thoughts. There's a reason why one is bigger than the other, because truthfully, our conscious thoughts only make up about 5% of our results in our life and business. And whereas our subconscious thoughts and feeling state of equilibrium makes up 95%. So who you believe you are and what place you're operating from creates 90% of the results versus the 5% of the conscious actions, thoughts that you do. Okay, this is important. This is the reason why having an unqualified support system is just so damn deadly. Because in the normal reality, and what you believe you may think you are in, is that you get to tell your friends and family everything. And so that naturally you're excited about business and things like this. So that would include sharing that excitement with them. What's the actual reality for you, most likely as an entrepreneur, is that even if their response is 99% positive and only 1% negative or constructive, your brain will focus on the negative. How do I know that? Because I guarantee when you first saw these two dots here, you focused on the tiny little red dot in this huge circle. That's how your brain is wired, to see the little bit and the negative. Okay, and even worse, the people giving you this feedback will be super confused why you're focusing on the negative or getting upset with them or not wanting to do this. And then they'll end up doubling down on their statement, becoming silent haters, or they'll just straight up argue with you and tell you your things is impossible and the way you live is unhealthy or delusional. Why? Because they believe they were genuinely helping you. They weren't trying to upset you. However, they're unqualified. They don't know. I'm telling you, it's normal reality to talk to your friends and family about anything. But if your friends and family have never grown a business, never done an online business, not been trained in reframing difficult negative emotions, not been trained in how to process trauma and limiting beliefs and how to apply those into a business, if they haven't spent hours on social media researching the most important way to grow, then they probably shouldn't be giving you advice on how you can do the same thing, right? It's just probably shouldn't happen. Okay, when we're talking about emotional stuff, this is why having a therapist is so important. Or just having a qualified support person anyway, who's in a third-party objective seat, not there for any other reason. They just want to be there to help you sort through your own stuff. So the solution is to, as much as humanly possible, only talk about things with your unqualified support system that are already complete. Only talk to those people. I'm not saying you have to cut off your friends. I've seen so many people on the internet fall to this where they're like, yeah, my friends just aren't on the same vibe as me. And then you start building this ego about how you're so much more of a hustler than your friends. And it's maybe they just don't want to talk to you about your business because they don't give a shit and they would rather talk about sports or your family, or they don't want to hear you like struggle with your thoughts and then argue with them about their advice, and they don't know. So they get upset because you get upset when they try to tell you, right? This is a huge thing. And as we're talking about our subconscious results, these little 1% negative comments and the 1% construction and the little dot ends up being here in our subconscious thoughts. Even if it's like this is producing 95% of the results. This is where outcome obsession, it just makes it worse. Why do you need the outcome? Because you want to prove these unqualified support people that you're right. You're right. So 2 parts to this solution. Number 1, understand that the only reason you're asking for this validation from other people is because you have not given it to yourself fully. I'm going to say that again. The only reason we're asking for validation from other people is because you have not given it to yourself fully. We never seek things that we already perceive to own entirely. Why would you want something that you already have? I'll tell you what, when I wasn't making any money and I first left the last industry and I didn't have any clients, I cared an awful lot about signing people. I cared an awful lot about getting clients and showing all the people in my life how they were wrong. Once you started making $5,000-$6,000 paying fulls, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks because I'm already validated by myself, by my clients, by the results my clients give, by the results I've gotten. There's no room for other people to unvalidate me. And the only way I would have room is if I give it to them by talking to unqualified people about the goals. So, number one, understand and give yourself the validation. Number two, only speak to qualified people about the things that you're struggling with or need to do or want to talk through. You know, if you have a mentor like myself, this is perfect. But even if not, you just have colleagues who are in your industry and at the level at which you want to do. And a good rule of thumb is like, would you pay this person for advice if you didn't know them personally? I have people in my life who have given me solid, actionable steps for my business who, if I did not know them, I would pay them personally. And if they fit in that category, not only will they likely help you as long as you take action and not ask stupid questions or have people trying to validate you, asking genuine advice, right? No one in that position would judge you. I would never judge somebody starting out asking me a real question. I would never judge someone starting on their health journey. Only people who have never done the shit that you're trying to do judge. People who have understand where you're at and they want to help you get through it. Okay, so this is the emotional regulation side. And then this is one of my favorites, and this should truly bring it all home for you guys. Again, the daily actions, this is where everyone thinks they got it. They think they know what's going on. They think, you know, I can't think of it. If I just focus on these things, everything will get better, right? And so here's the two problems that happen with the daily action side of business, okay? Number one, I wanted to bring up the problem is called the I must do XYZ because XYZ, okay? So I had a client named Han. I told you guys about him. When he first came in and told me about his situation, I said, well, why don't you raise your price? And he said, well, we have a common expression in the barber world that you have no business raising your price until your chair's full. And I looked right at him. I said, yeah, it sounds like something broke people made up, brother. Doesn't have to apply to you. It's your business. It can be anything that you want. It's your life. You have full autonomy, right? And now Han is only cutting hair 4 days a week, making $7,000 a month on his own schedule with the price raise. And that happened even without it. He first didn't listen, spent the next 4 months being 85% booked out, and then decided to raise the price. So he still went with it. But the point is that if you're believing that you have to do something because that's how you saw it or that's how you see it, like a common expression for coaches is like, oh, the coach I look up to, the mentor I have, has a school community and upsells and downsells and masterminds and monthly. You don't need to do that just because they do that. In fact, you don't have to do anything. And the other side of this, right, is knowing how to just recreate the wheel more and figure out what's working in your business and stop overcomplicating things, right? I have this quote from Picasso because he says, good artists copy, great artists steal. Okay, there are business models, principles, social media accounts, other coaches that have literally shown you the exact step-by-step path on how to achieve the results that you want. Now, you can try to be original. You can try to be super creative. And in that endeavor, you will burn out. You will get through shiny object syndrome. You will go through all of the fears the same. Why? Because in your, journey for being creative, this is just another way of trying to validate yourself through some means. Like if you making it original will be what is separating other people from enjoying it. In reality, why I have this here, all business and services really comes down to one simple concept: eyeballs to an offer, product or service. Eyeballs, offer and product service. You can either make this better or get more of these. That's about it. your business needs one of these two things. You either need more eyeballs or you need to figure out a way to use the money that you have and the time to get more eyeballs or get more time for less money. Or I said that backwards, more money for less time. And there's not a whole bunch of stuff to change. And so I do normally when we work through with people, one of your first blueprint call when you come sign up with a program is a clarity audit. And these are 3 questions. I'm going to give you like a free version of this. Inside, when you work with me one-on-one, I sit you down during the first meeting. We reverse engineer from where the goal is that you're trying to hit, and we move through everything. We go through your business, what's currently making money, and then we figure out how to increase more of that while decreasing your personal time in the business or your time focused on things that don't bring you passion and energy and love, right? But even if you don't ever sign up, something you can do today, 3 simple questions you can ask yourself that will most likely change everything in your business goes as follows. Number 1, how much money do I actually want to profit each month? Like how much? The other day I asked somebody this on a sales call and I've never heard somebody take this long to come up with this number. Like how much do you want to make? How can you get something that you don't even know what it is? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we need to pick it out. And trust me, there's people who make whatever number that you think that is. There's people who make 4 times that and they're not as smart as you and they're not as gifted and they're not as nice and they won't do as well. But they're doing better right now because they're not overthinking and they're living in this equilibrium that we're talking about, right? So 1, how much do you want to make? 2, out of my current profit, like what you're already doing. Again, this video is not for beginners. Sorry if you were a beginner and you're this far deep, but it's not for you. Out of the money you're already making, what in my business am I doing that makes the most money and takes the least amount of work from me personally as the owner? Okay. And then number 3 is realistically, if I had somebody else whose full-time job was to focus on bringing more of that thing, how fast would I reach my goal? Okay, I've done this with owner after owner, and they all are flabbergasted at how simply by delegating one task to one person, of which, there's 1,000 ways to hire people. You can do commission-based if you don't have that much money. You can hire VAs. You can do all types of things. Okay, but you don't even need to. It's just what is actually making the most money and what would happen if one person only spent all of their time on this? And that person can be you. So then you say, okay, then I just need to get people to do all the other things that I do so that way I can focus on this and grow the company. 3 questions change your life. The answer will vary from person to person, business to business, but this would do. And then the last thing, this should really change some things for some people, which is called needle moving dysfunction. And I want you to never deal with procrastination again inside your business. And I'll let you know that I don't know where this line came from, but I've done more in the last 6 weeks than I did in the last 6 months by following this simple technique. Okay. So I call it the 3x3 method. You can do whatever you want, but it starts with a power list. Okay. So here's an example of my power list right here. I use this as a Google Doc in my phone. It's easy for me. I like Google Doc versus the Notes app because I was losing in there. But essentially, what I recognize is I get all these ideas and thoughts that I want to do for my business. And oftentimes I'll get overwhelmed at trying to pick which one you're going to do today. So especially if you're still dealing with any of these 2 problems that we talked about, the identity and the emotions, this is really bad because your emotional regulation would be so out of whack from focusing on outcomes and having an identity that you need to see everything to believe it, that you will make these task lists. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Every day you go to sit down and do deep work, and you will be filled with emotional task avoidance and probably either do just the easiest thing on the list or skip all of it and tell yourself it's fine. So the opposite is we take the list and then we color code it. All right. Oops, that's not what I was looking for. We color code the list. And so for me, I do this by priority, black or white, depending on what mode your Google Docs are in. Those are needle movers for me. These are things I recognize this week should get done and it would help move the business along. Okay. The yellow are things that are important for this month. Like they're on the priority list, but they don't need to get done this week. They're not up front. And then the red is things that are just arbitrary ideas. As you know, the boy used to be a rapper. Might be dropping some music soon as I'm dropping all these dang bombs right now in this video. But that's besides the point. It has no actual importance to my business or life overall. So I put it in red, right? And then here's the biggest shift. the thing that changed everything. Every week, every 7 days, only do 3 of these needle moving tasks. Only do 3. And you have to borderline force and allow yourself that once those 3 things are completed, to rest and enjoy the things that you swear to everyone you don't have time for right now. The reason you don't have time is because you're looking for outcomes. Your identity is rooted in the past. So you're ferociously trying to be productive to fill the hole that you don't have what you want. If you can get rid of those 2 things and decide, okay, I only need to do 3 things every week to keep moving forward. And then once you get it done, 2 things happen. Number 1, you will start to be unbelievably fucking focused when you only need to do 3 things in 7 days. And then you take each day that you're working and break the individual task up into 3 more subparts of that day. So you sit down to work, you have very clear steps on what you got to get done. And then what happens is if you do 3 things every week, within 6 weeks, that's equaling 18 major changes to your business. Major. Not just little things, back end work. In the last 6 weeks, we've recorded brand new VSLs, multiple 20-minute videos, posted 2 times a day on Instagram, completely did the back end model, completely upgraded our program, the way we do things, made a custom AI, a custom tracker, which I'm going to explain shortly, a brand new offer, brand new everything within 6 weeks. And this was stuff I always told myself I didn't have time to do. When I first started signing clients, like when you don't have any clients, right? This isn't for you anyway, but if you don't have any clients, like you are filled with like, oh, the only thing you're focused on is sales and getting those clients. But once you start having actual clients, and if you're a really good coach, you're spending a lot of time feeding into those people, trying to get the result and help them. Right. So then a lot of this back end stuff that ultimately helps the business scale and grow falls to the wayside or becomes that mountain list. And if we don't color code it and if we don't prioritize what we got to get done, we'll try to do everything and we'll stare at the whole mountain as soon as we sit down, and it'll feel impossible. It'll get the gap mindset right back. By doing this, you will feel the momentum. You will feel like you're winning. You'll know that you're making progress. When I started doing this, there has not been a single thing I put on my power list that doesn't get done within a week or 2. Even the yellow things, because you're knocking out things at such a consistent pace that you just keep making progress, and it gets addictive. And the best part is the pressure that you feel when you're trying to rest or enjoy. I just had a client who's been dealing with this for 2 years, where she could not take days off and was beating herself up about not getting up at 4 a.m. to hit her perceived goal. Now she wakes up when she wants to, just signed a contract with one of the biggest healthcare providers in Florida, will probably go on to make 7 figures and work way less. It's not the action, okay? It's just getting what's really important done so you don't spend as much time as you do currently worrying about not doing the things that actually don't even matter. And on a deeper level, so working with me inside the program, each one of my clients gets one of these custom equilibrium tracker. And each week through your one-on-one, we actually identify what these 3 needle moving tasks will be. And we track that. So it's consistent, it's measurable, and you can see the wins, as well as our daily tracking on 6 metrics of your personal stress levels, energy, your purpose and goal section. And then there's a dashboard. Now, when you're a client, you get to use all of this with our custom AI GPT model, which I've used and trained from thousands of hours of high-ticket coaches doing over 100K per month, their courses, their firms, as well as emotional regulation techniques, identity shifting, and hours of my own. You get the GU, and it's made to read your tracker, so that way it can give you deep personal insights, and you're not battling your feelings based on other feelings. So you're bringing data to your feelings so it can be consistent, tracked, and you can start to see the patterns. Now, your boy has already given out more stuff than Christmas and St. Nick, but if you do want this tracker for free, 100% for free, you can just message me the word tracker on Instagram. It should be linked below, and I'll send you over that. Or you can check out the third link and you can get the custom AI plus your tracker plus another 18-minute training from me for just $21. And that will get you pretty damn far. I mean, you really don't need more than this. This video plus this, you are golden. Okay. Obviously, for those who are really, they're, excited and they know that I'm the one and they have received all the value, please, number 1, watch this video and apply it for a week before you try to sign up. I mean it. Okay, I'm living in abundance right here. We don't need any one person. What I do want is to attract dream clients who understand exactly how this can help them, and they are ready to invest and they are ready to claim the life that they always believed they could have. That's the only people I want to sign up. And so to even prove it further to those people, please apply this video in your life for 7 days. Get a ridiculous result, then hit me up. I don't mind. I'll be here waiting. But I want you to take what you got and really make some action, okay? So there's a couple options there below. I think we still have 4 spots left for August to join the one-on-one elite program. Other than that, we got the community and the GU tracker below. So I hope I did good on my promise of delivering one of the most valuable videos on the internet. And I hope you do good on your promise that you made to yourself at the beginning of this video when you decided that this was going to be the thing to get you there. Peace, love, and prosperity. I'll see you on the next one.